I had never really given it any thought. I had my goal, and that was that. I had no purpose in putting aside effort into a plan B. This is my plan A. This is what I'm doing. You can shoot me down all you want, but that's what I'm going to strive for. As many times as you're going to say no and make me feel like crap, I'm going for that.
I wouldn't take you here if I didn't think you could do it.
All right. Oh my gosh, that's so loud. All right, everybody. Welcome back. This is episode number 7 with my other good friend Corey Goodlett. This is my other best friend. He came over right after Austin and I recorded our last podcast. Say hi, Corey.
Hey guys.
You gotta talk in the microphone, bud. I don't know why you and Austin both don't talk into the microphone.
I feel like I can hear me from there.
There.
Gotta keep it there.
You gotta speak into it.
Okay.
There we go. So we were discussing topics on what episode 7 was going to be about, and what's that topic? What's it say?
Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Okay. That's definitely something that Corey and I both believe in. Something that a point of view that we both share very intently. But before we start, Corey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to people who don't know you, because I know you.
Corey Goodlett, known Caesar probably 7 years now.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. Went to high school together, started weightlifting together probably three years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Moved to Montana back in 2015 after high school.
Yeah.
I lived there for quite a while, with my uncle a little bit, and then on my own for about a year. Now I'm back, trying to get to the Army again. Didn't work the first time, but trying to get back in again and waiting on that now.
Yeah.
Just kind of lifting and preparing myself.
Yeah. I think, and that's what we wanted to talk about today. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today was what happened, what happened after high school. Basically the whole going up to Montana and being up there. Because, I mean, you, Austin, and I have always been a very tight-knit group. We've always been really close and spent a lot of time together. So, when you left and you left Austin and I to our own devices, it was definitely a shock to our system, and we definitely had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable
Right.
with you not being here. But
Right.
But you had your reasons, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So, you can go as in depth as you want, but what was the reason? Why did you go to why did you leave?
Well, when I graduated, I had stayed for a couple months after, and then realized that what I was doing wasn't really moving me forward. I was in the same routine, still living with my family. I know it's not odd at 18, but to me it felt like I'd gone nowhere, and I really wanted to be somewhere after that. So leaving was a way for me to just kind of, branch out from the normal of what I've been doing and, kind of gain a new perspective on life other than under the house of my family and, protection of my friends that I've known for years. Just getting out of my comfort zone.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's definitely something that at some point or another everyone should do.
Right.
Like a lot of people are, I think, especially in like our neck of the neighborhoods, like in where we live, a lot of people are really set on staying at home and just being at home and having, mom and dad take care of everything. And it's not something that we made fun of, but it was definitely something that we we kind of knew wasn't for us. It wasn't something that was gonna. It wasn't anything that we knew was gonna take us somewhere.
Yeah, seeing people from, a couple years up from us from high school and, them coming back and, hey, what are you guys doing? We're working here in town, still living with mom and dad. And we're like, really? That's what you chose to do with your life?
Yeah.
Like, it was never for us. And I saw that very quickly. So I had to get out. I could have very easily stayed happy here. But I never grew. I would have never grown to who I am.
And that's important. And that's a big reason of what, this whole thing is about, is it's looking inward rather than outward for that motivation, that thing that helps you move forward.
Right.
What part of Montana, where'd you go?
Town called Kalispell. It's about 5 hours from Missoula, right up on the Canadian border.
Okay. What'd you do out there while you were gone?
I worked on my uncle's ranch a little bit, helped on another friend's ranch, and then I also worked at the Buffalo Wild Wings out there.
Okay. So I mean, all of that. I mean, and you also, because when you did leave, you left when we started doing our CrossFit, like our weightlifting and doing all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that was a big pain for you to go up there and learn it yourself. How did you keep yourself accountable with training, with just kind of growing, doing what it is that you wanted to accomplish, just being a more independent person?
I had with only keeping myself accountable, I had, you here. I had Austin back home. My family was also back home, all counting on me to make something of myself. That was a big help. I knew you and Austin were there, putting in the work, even when I wasn't. So I had to make sure for myself, I was putting in that same amount of work I, would get out of you guys, that I had to get out of myself. And it took me a while. With no one watching me, I could kind of slack. I got to do what I want when I wanted, and that was a freedom I never had. So I chose to be lazy with it. But that wasn't the point of going up there, and eventually had to realize if I need to move forward, I have to start moving forward, And moving forward is not just leaving your family, which I thought it was. I thought I could just leave my family and boom, I'd be a changed person. I'd be independent. I'm on my own. That's awesome. But I was the same person, just 1,000 miles away. So I had to look into myself and really find out what I wanted to change about myself. Not just a general picture about myself, but, what was it about myself that I wasn't satisfied with and what I needed to change. And that's really how I started, keeping myself accountable and doing what I needed to get done before it was too late.
Yeah. When going up and living on your uncle's ranch, did he expect you to do things like help out around the house, basically in the same situation that you would have been at home?
It was a better situation than I was at home. My parents, basically did everything I needed. And my uncle, he was a military man. He expected a lot. He was also raising his grandson from his kids that couldn't take care of him. So he was raising his grandkids as a 65-year-old man.
Okay.
So in that aspect, he needed a lot of help. He ran an 18-acre ranch, which needed a lot of help. And, me going up there thinking, oh, I got more family. Boom, I'm set. But his way of living was way different than I've ever had. Waking up early in the morning, getting the snow off of the house and the barn, taking the kid to school, picking him up from school. Just stuff that I've never had to do before because my parents did everything for me. And I credit a lot of who I am to him because he didn't care that it was my first time on my own. He didn't care that I've been coddled my entire life. He said, you're a man, it's time to act like one, which really jumped me into shape.
Were you ever scared?
I was terrified. And especially when I had first moved out there, my fear wasn't that I wasn't going to succeed at being my own. I know I could be on my own, but it was if I came back, or if I came back the wrong way, I'd be a failure, because I left to be someone better, and I thought coming back would mean that nothing was accomplished. That was definitely a fear of mine, but after a couple of months, I figured out that it's not that whether you come back to what you know, or what you're comfortable to, if you end up coming back to it or revisiting it. It's how you take yourself to what's comfortable. You can be in a comfortable state as long as you're not taking the easy way there. If you find a way around to be in a hardship, right, and you find a way out, and then are in a comfortable state where you're like, okay, I've done well, I'm where I feel like I need to be, but you're back at a comfortable state, doesn't mean you failed. It means you found out what you needed to be comfortable again.
Would you say that you're back to being comfortable, or do you have that itch to kind of want to go out again and do your own thing?
I came back about a year and a half ago from Montana, and I was in a comfortable state, and it was nice. I had a good job, steady pay, but for me, again, it wasn't enough. I needed another challenge. I needed something else to push myself to where I didn't fall back into that comfort zone of my family and just going through the motions again. So I needed another challenge. And the next challenge that I found was weightlifting. You had been doing it while I was gone, and Austin had been doing it. And, found our coach, Coach Mike, who's still my coach now. And he gave me that next challenge. He wasn't always there for it, but he
set you on the path, and you took it up, like you took up that, you grabbed the torch and you took it and you ran with it.
Right. And that's something that I figured out about myself is I can't stay in what I'm at. I need something to grab.
Yeah.
I tried not weightlifting for a while, and I just tried regular working out, some running here and there, but I fell off because there wasn't a goal to obtain. It was just doing it to do it because I should have. But there was no goal to obtain, which that's what I need, is something, a goal to obtain, a purpose for me to keep going on.
What would you say your purpose is now?
My purpose now is to join the Army. I've been trying since I was 17, have been denied many times, which is part of the reason I left for Montana as well. The heartache of getting denied from the Army, which was why I was here in California, because they don't have a base up in Montana for me to go to. So my purpose here was to join the Army, but I had been denied so many times that I needed a fresh start. Came back after I realized, no, this is what I want in life. This is what I'm called for, what I've been put on this earth for. And so now, again, I'm trying to go back into the Army, and praise God, I recently just got accepted medically. So all I have to do now is, go through my physical and sign my waiver, and I'll be off.
Oh, run me through it. How many times did they say no?
7 or 8 times.
Really?
Yeah, they said, no, this isn't enough. Go back. Go get more. You can't come in because of this. You're going to have to do more to fix that problem. About 7 or 8 times.
Why did you stop?
Part of the reason was because if I stopped, I would think of myself as a failure, because I know it's what I'm meant for. It's all what I've wanted. If I think about another job, I can't see myself doing anything else. So in a way, this is my purpose. And I can't see myself as a failure to just give up. If that day comes, or if that day did come where they said, no, there's no way you can do this, fine. I'm a talented person. I can find something else that I'm good at. But it was never my intention to do anything else. So until I got what I needed, until I grabbed that torch, there's no stopping.
Well, as far as I've known you, I mean, it's definitely not one. You're definitely not one to quit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as I've known you, it's pretty hard to see you not be passionate and not set your mind to something and not complete it.
Right.
So, worst case scenario, if something like that did happen and you had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in that situation, where do you see yourself doing?
If I didn't get accepted? I had never really given it any thought. I had my goal, and that was that. I had no purpose in putting aside effort into a plan B. This is my plan A. This is what I'm doing. You can shoot me down all you want, but that's what I'm going to strive for. As many times as you're going to say no and make me feel like crap, I'm going for that. And it never crossed my mind to think of something different.
It's funny. It's a lot of people, and I think it might just be the way that everyone thinks nowadays. It's having a plan A is good, but also having a plan B is better. Mm-hmm. And I've never been comfortable with the idea that having a plan B is something that somebody has to have.
Right.
Because having a plan B just means that you're fully expecting plan A to just fall through. Mm-hmm. So, thinking to myself and the things that I've set out to do, there's never really been a plan B for me. And it doesn't surprise me that you would say that. It doesn't surprise me that you don't have a plan B. Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Why the Army? Why was it? Why the Army? Why has the Army been the thing that you've been wanting to do since I've known you?
Yeah. I've had probably 4 uncles and a couple of cousins be in the Army. Yeah. And the way they talk about it gives them so much pride in themselves, gives them a sense of being and something that they can be proud of. And, when I was in football, I didn't really, I enjoyed it. I loved football. Me and you both, we had a great time until you shattered your knee. But it was nothing that I grabbed and said, I'm super proud that I am second place.
I remember just being a machine, just being a robot. Oh. Just those days of practice that really just dragged on. And when we said it, and we just said it, like, I'm just a machine.
Yeah.
I don't have any feelings. I'm just here.
Yep. Don't have any feelings. But hearing my family talk about the pride it gives them and, what it means to them, it was just something that I wanted. And the Army was a great way for that.
Is there anything that you're worried about as far as this whole process?
I'm worried about a lot. With it being my dream for 4 or 5 years, I'm worried about, not doing well. What if I get there and it's not right for me? As much as I wanted this, if it's not right for me, that's crushing. Not doing as well as I would hope. I've been a leader my entire life. Led our team, lead my work. But getting there to an environment of everyone's a leader, in the Army. You don't go there to be a follower. And with everyone being a leader, you're going in from our world at the top, but back down to the bottom. Everyone's going to be where you're at. Everyone wants to be where you're at. And it's frightening, But again, there's that challenge to strive above all the leaders, to not be the one that falls back, that is still a leader, but you're following a leader as a leader, and that's terrifying. Those are probably my biggest concerns.
Austin and I were talking about how being a previous leader and everything that you did, as far as football, for him, as far as his athletic career, and then going through the fire academy and doing all that stuff, there were 3 things that he took away from it. The first one was discipline. Being a disciplined individual will give you the freedom to do the things that you want. The second thing was being a good follower, is learning how to listen to people and listen as a follower and learn from your leaders.
Right.
And the third one was being humble. Mm-hmm. Now, in his experience with his athletics in the fire academy and everything that he's done up until, working, he's always had that mindset of you just got to be the best worker that you can be. I mean, obviously you have that same mentality.
Yeah.
Where did you get all that from? Where did you learn to be a leader and to do the best job that you could be? Well, who'd you learn that from? Regardless of situation.
Where I learned to be a leader, I'm not entirely sure about that. I could pull leaders out of my life. Uncle's a surgeon, dad's a top salesman in his industry. I can pull leaders from everywhere, but being a leader is something you have inside of you. I've got people at my work who are amazing workers, but they can't lead. It's what's inside of you. You can either be, a leader, a hard worker, someone who can be depended on, and then there's just people with mindsets that don't have that ability. And I don't think it's something you can teach. I think it's something that you have. It can be brought out of you, but it can't be something that's taught to you.
Yeah, what is that saying? Some people are born great and others have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah.
Would you say that you were born great, or are you still waiting for that greatness to be thrust upon you?
I wouldn't say I was born great. I was born a fat kid. I was not a great child. I haven't reached greatness. I don't think I could ever say I've reached greatness. Because, you can say you've reached greatness, but, as soon as you've reached the mindset of, I'm great, I'm amazing, you might taper off. And I personally don't want that for myself, If I keep saying, I'm all right, I'm good at what I do, but I want to be better, then I can start becoming great. But if I have the mindset saying I'm great, I'm going to slack. Because I already know I'm one of the best. Why would I have to keep working harder if I'm already one of the best? Greatness is born upon some people and put on some people. I've just been lucky enough to have the mindset of a great man.
Where do you think you get that from?
People you surround yourself with. I've been surrounded by plenty of amazing people. I put myself with friends that have the same mindset as myself. Parents who were striving for excellence at all times. I think it's all about who you surround yourself with.
Do you ever think that maybe you feel a little bit pressured to want to do something great? Or is it a genuine sense of this is what I want, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it?
I've never been pressured to be great. My mom and dad have always said, we'd love you if you're a coal miner, My mom wants me to stay home. She doesn't want me to leave. But I put the pressure on myself, in my own thinking that I can't do that. I can't stay home. I've seen people who've stayed home. That's not me. I'm not satisfied with that. And I know you have the same thinking. I bet you have people who would be fine if you're just you know. But it's not who you are.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest thing to distinguish. It's whether or not you're doing it because you want to, or you're doing it because you feel that you need to do it for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And anybody will tell you that if you're doing it for somebody else, it's not the right reason.
Right.
So at the end of the day, someone who has gone through the stuff that you have, who's had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and has removed themselves from situations, what would you tell somebody that needs that kind of cue, that needs to be told you need to remove yourself? What would you tell that person?
I would say not to remove yourself completely. The way I did it is very extreme and, wouldn't work for a lot of people. It worked for me, but I'm not saying that's everybody, but excuse me. Try, slowly taking yourself away from what your routine is. Put yourself in a new situation. Give yourself a new goal. If your goal right now is just wake up, go to work, do your job, go home, throw something in the middle there. Try to go out and do a new sport. Try to go out and do a new activity, a new game, whatever you want to do. Challenge yourself to do something you haven't done before. And slowly you'll find more things about yourself will come up that have been dormant because of where you're at. But the more new things you do, the new experiences, more of you will come out that you'll be like, oh, there's that. I need to switch that. There's that. And slowly you'll find yourself.
Yeah, all it is about growth.
Right.
It's growing as a person, growing as a leader, and it's just finding those key things to yourself. Because as soon as you're going to experience a lot of stuff. You're going to go through a lot of things and figure out a lot of different qualities that you have as a person. And when you can take those qualities that are positive, and then you can construct yourself as a well-rounded human being, there's nothing better than that. Mm-hmm. As long as you have that advantage and the ability to say that you have taken the time to remove yourself from a situation that you knew was going to cause nothing but comfort.
Right.
You can honestly say that you've grown. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. What would you say is a good situation that you've pulled yourself out of that was very comfortable for you, but you grew in the end?
And it's funny because we stopped by there earlier tonight.
Mm-hmm.
At first, and it kind of ties into the thing about having greatness thrust. Like some people being born great, some people having greatness thrust upon them. I never thought about weightlifting. Like weightlifting wasn't something that was on my mind until, me and Austin sat and watched the Fit Us on Earth movie.
Yeah.
And then we started doing CrossFit, and then from CrossFit we started doing the WODs and weightlifting and stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to do weightlifting.
Yeah.
Michael, our first coach, he was a great coach, fantastic man, fantastic gentleman. He's definitely helped me with, in the time that he was my coach, he definitely helped me with a lot of situations, personally and with the sport. Mm-hmm. And having him be my first real weightlifting coach in the sport that I had nothing to do, no prior experience other than the weightlifting that we did at school. I really didn't want to disappoint him. Like I really didn't want to do anything that would upset him or just perform poorly.
Yeah.
But I started to plateau, and there were things about his coaching styles and his methods that weren't really that didn't really work for me. And even though I was really committed to him and really wanted to not disappoint him, I did have to take myself and remove myself from that situation if I wanted to get better. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening was, we left and I found Sage, and Sage started coaching me. And it hurt. Like that was a really sad time because I felt like I was losing a really good friend, a really good mentor, a father figure, someone who stepped in when things were really shitty. Yeah. I get really sad about thinking about how if he's ever been upset with me, like that's my fault. I own it. Mm-hmm. But if I hadn't done what I did, if I hadn't taken the next step as an athlete, and everyone tells you as an athlete, like, you have to be selfish sometimes. Like, if you want to be the best that you can be, you have to be selfish. So if I hadn't taken the time to remove myself and then, to evaluate the pros and cons and do what I had to do and ended up where I ended up, I don't think I could say that. I think I would have been in the same, I would have ended up doing the same things.
Right.
But I don't think that I would have learned as much as an athlete and as a man if I hadn't put myself in that uncomfortable position.
Mm-hmm. And you were contemplating it for a long time.
I was very in between. I was in the middle of which way I was going to go, where I was going to go, who was going to be my coach, and I'm lucky that he was very understanding, that Amy was very understanding, that at Sage and Coach B were very understanding. I'm lucky that I had you guys all telling me I had to do what was best for me. Right. And then those are the things that you have to, when you have those people in your life that believe in you and want nothing but the best for you, it's really hard not to listen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's something I can definitely say, that if that hadn't happened, I don't think I'd be in the situation and position that I'm in today. Yeah. Because what came from such a big switch and a kind of revamping in my commitment to the sport and my excitement and all that stuff, a lot of stuff sprouted from it. Like this podcast, a couple jobs, job opportunities, meeting new people, all this kind of stuff. And you just gotta make the hard decision sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you have to be the one that really makes that decision, and sometimes you gotta live with it.
And with that hard decision and this great outcome it has, became, there was a lot of hard times because of this decision. Did you ever, look back and say, I wish I would have stayed there because this wouldn't have happened and this would have happened,
There's definitely been shifts in mentalities, and there's a new shift in how serious everything has gotten and how committed, how more revamped my commitment is. Back then it was just lifting in a garage, like just weightlifting in a garage because I just wanted to get good. Yeah. But I think as you progress and as you get more and more serious about it, and then these new opportunities start coming up, that quality of commitment and seriousness turns into something completely different. It starts turning into all this kind of pressure and all this kind of, I don't know, there's just a lot more to think about. There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more passion that needs to be put into it. Things are going to get harder. Weights are going to get heavier. It's just going to get more rough. Right. And absolutely, I mean, you can always sit and think about what could have happened if I would have just stayed. But it's the same we were talking about how if you would have stayed at home, and now we're 2 or 3 years down the line, what would happen? Yeah. So there's days definitely where I miss the being able to live with you and Austin and live with the boys and do that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm really excited what the future has to hold. And I don't know, it's like the sense of, I don't know if professionalism is the right kind of word, but the sense of, I think it's just a sense of everything that's on the table. Like there's just so much more room for growth. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's fun. Life is definitely one of those things where it's not black and white. Things are never going to be just black and white. There's going to be a lot of gray to everything, but as long as you're willing to stick it out, I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of Bob Ross where he's just painting.
No.
Someone came up to him and said, I can't do any of your paintings, or I can't see any of your paintings because I am colorblind and I can only see black and white. I can only see black, white, and gray. And Bob Ross does this amazing painting in just gray, right? Just all grays. Grays, blacks, and whites. And it's like, that's what life is. I get all these grays, man. Like, so many different grays, so many different shades of this and this and this. Is that at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be what you want it.
Yeah. It's all based on your choices and where you want to take it.
Where do you want to take it? Where do you see your life headed? Where in the next 5 years? What is it that you see happening?
I would love to. So when I look into the future and I look at where I am, I want to be obviously military. Rangers is my end goal. As of right now, it's where I want to get to. But once I hit that, I see, my family, but all these new adventures, all these new things I would love to try, going out and meeting new people. As long as I have my basis, I have my family, my family, my career, what I would love to do, and then my activities on the side, all these new things I want to try, all these new adventures. I don't want to be stuck in that rut. I want to keep going. I want to keep going to new places, doing new things like this podcast I've never done before. It's a new experience that I would love. And that's where I see myself. I can't pinpoint it, but it's something new.
The direction that you're going.
Yeah.
That's better. I think I mentioned it. I think an episode or two ago, but there's a good saying that a man with no waypoint, like a no direct way, if a man at sea with no waypoint, no port that he wants to go to, no wind is favorable. So if you don't know where you're going, that wind can blow you anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good.
No.
But as long as you know the direction that you're headed, that's the most important thing. And I think that's the thing that everyone really has to understand, is that with looking inwards rather than outwards, and trying to figure out those things that you want to do, like, you're definitely going to be uncomfortable. Like, there's definitely situations that you're going to have to remove yourself from, people you're going to have to remove yourself from, jobs, loved ones. There's things that you're going to have to do that are not going to be easy, that are going to hurt, and that are going to be just nothing but a bunch of tears and memories and regrets. And if you're not willing to do that, then you may have to reevaluate what it is that you want to do. But nothing worth doing, or nothing worth that pain, is worth doing at all.
Yeah.
So everyone just has to kind of sit and think about it. Just think about what things in their life right now, what things in your life right now are uncomfortable, that you would love to remove yourself from, but you need to do it for right now.
I heard this quote a couple weeks ago. It says, how many times a day do you sit in silence? Probably not very much. You're either talking to people, you're on your phone, you're listening to music, you're watching TV, but very few of us actually sit with ourselves. And I had to do that a couple of times before I did it just a month ago. You just sit with yourself and figure out what is actually going on in your head without the distractions of your phone or your TV. And that will bring a lot out of you. That will, kind of see where you're going and see where you need to be, if you're willing to change at all. If you're not willing to change, there's no point. It's not going to happen. You have to be willing to do it before you even start moving.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever done that. I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah.
But sitting in silence, I mean, that's definitely something that I would love to start doing and just do it.
It's a whole new thing. It's a, you don't think about it very much, but you rarely sit in silence unless you're sleeping, but you're rarely just with your own head because people are afraid of their own head.
Oh yeah.
That's where the demons lie. That's where the regrets, the fears are. But you have to acknowledge those, or else you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, how do you know if anything's hurting, or what things are hurting, what things you have to get rid of, what things you have to do if you ignore them?
It's easy to block them out with distractions. We have a ton of them. It's hard to be with yourself, but you have to do it.
What if the thing that's uncomfortable? What if the thing that people are uncomfortable with is themselves, and they have to learn to be comfortable with being themselves?
That's a tough one. Every person is different with their own head. Everyone's got their own boiling pot up top, and the way I talk to myself is different than the way you talk to yourself.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. I can sit in silence and think of what I got to do, what I have to accomplish. Whereas some people can sit in silence and be afraid of their own past, what they're doing right now. It's tough to be afraid of yourself and what you can be, but you'll never know.
Yeah, so I guess if there's anything to take away, it's that in order to find the things that you're uncomfortable with and find those pains and aches in your heart and your mind, you have to take the time to sit with yourself and figure out what those are.
Yes.
So you have to learn to be comfortable with those uncomfortable thoughts.
You have to grow.
That's funny. That's funny, man. From just a couple of people that I've had on the podcast, like Megan and you and Austin, there's a couple times, and I have a bunch of people that I have lined up that I want to talk to, but
yeah.
It's like you and Austin are my best friends, and Megan's one of my really good friends and my teammates, and it's like I know so much about you guys already, but this is this is a different opportunity. Like, this is opening up stuff, and I'm finding stuff out about you guys in a different way, which is, again, it's one of those things where it's like, this podcast is new. This is something that I'm learning to do. So I'm getting comfortable with the fact that I'm getting comfortable with the fact that I'm really uncomfortable, because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing such a good job.
Yeah.
So it's definitely eye-opening, and it's one of those things that you were just talking about. It's you learn from those uncomfortable experiences, and I'm glad that the things I'm learning about are the people that I love and care about.
Yeah. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming here. I appreciate you being here and talking to me for 45 minutes. Where can people find you if you want people to find you? If you want people to be interested in you and look you up?
I got a Instagram at Corey Goodlett 61. It's about all I'm on.
Are you doing any weightlifting competitions coming up? Are you doing anything like that?
I'm doing the Renatus competition in April.
Okay.
April 13th.
That's in Hemet.
Yep.
Yeah.
At the Renatus Barbell Club.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be doing that competition. Hopefully, if I don't leave before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How what's the time frame on that? Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. I have to. I got to go down to medical in San Diego and get my physical done and take my test. But once I have that done, then I'll get my ship date. It could be anywhere between a month and 6 months. So it's not up to me.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's later than sooner. I'd like to have some time, before I go.
Yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Thank everybody. I like to thank everybody who's listened and been a part of this show and liked learning from the stuff that I've said, and the people that I care about. And again, at the end of the day, it's not about me trying to tell you guys what it is that is going to work for you. It's you finding those things within yourself. So I'm glad that you've taken the time to learn those cues and try to develop your own cues. If you guys want to reach out to me, if you guys have anything you want to say, you guys can always reach me on my Instagram, the 1,000 Ways Podcast Instagram, or the 1,000 Ways Podcast Gmail. So 1,000 Ways Podcast at gmail.com. I love to talk to anybody. Love to talk to people who have stuff to say, who have their own cues, stuff that we can all learn from. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. I'm trying to get this still on a set schedule, or I'm just gonna start putting them out like crazy, just random, just put them out every single day if I could. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, Corey.